Sean, this election is unlike any that we've seen in recent history for many reasons, but millions of mail-in ballots will be sent in, and certain states are now extending the ballot deadline. And because of that, there's no guarantee that we'll actually have a winner on election night. And Facebook is actually preparing for this. The social media platform will be banning any ads that claim victory until the results are finalized. But the question is this just a more selective censorship from the tech giant? To discuss, let's bring in our company owner of Speakman Media, Lee Speakman, and the former RNC National Press Secretary, Kirsten Kakowski. Welcome.
Great to be here.
Hey, Kirsten, here's the thing that kind of gets me at this. Who becomes the arbiter now? Facebook says no ads can happen. I remember I did a campaign in 2000. We won on election night, and we went out there and declared victory because that's what the Secretary of State had as the vote count. But the media hadn't certified it. So now Facebook's and part of the campaign afterwards was to go out, claim victory, and make sure that we raise money for our defense, et cetera. But for Facebook to say we're not going to accept ads anymore, it seems like it's now deciding, it hasn't put out who's that arbiter. Is it the Secretary of State? Is it the Associated Press? Who gets to decide when it's finalized? Because in many cases, while there is a tabulated winner that night, the certificate of election is often not ready for weeks.
Right, exactly. They're literally, it's in now we don't know who's going to be picking winners and losers, right? And you're right, it's going to be very difficult because who is that arbiter? Are we waiting for the Associated Press or are we waiting for a Secretary of State? What is that timing? I know I'm working on a campaign for Congress in Wisconsin, and a judge just this week made an announcement that they're going to accept ballots as of the 9th of November. So they have to be postmarked by the 3rd.
Yeah, I was going to say the election's on the 3rd, and they're going to allow ballots till the 9th.
Correct. So we're going to be waiting a good week on one of my campaigns that I'm working on. It's a huge problem, and Facebook's literally picking winners and losers. And as you said, I mean, this is part of campaigning, and it's going to totally shake up things this fall.
So Lee, I know Facebook's a private company, but at the end of the day, all these rules keep getting changed, and they never seem to favor the right. It's always things that they're doing that disadvantage the right after the Trump campaign successfully used social media last cycle.
Well, Sean, first, a belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
And it is, as you pointed out, Facebook has come up with a solution in search of a problem. President Trump didn't declare himself the winner in 2016. In fact, Hillary almost some thought prematurely conceded the race. Even Podesta wasn't expecting her to. As you said, George W. Bush didn't declare victory in 2000 on election night. Richard Nixon didn't do that in 1968. Very close election. So I think that's ridiculous. And my question is, are they not going to allow, if Biden loses the election, is Facebook not going to allow him to declare that he's conceding?
Well, it's a good point, Lee, because Lee, the point that you're making is so well taken, because you remember in 2000, Al Gore called George Bush and conceded the election and then took back the concession. So you could have a situation where someone, they concede, and yet, these ballots come in now a week up later and they change their mind. So this is really dangerous what they're doing.
Well, what we need, Sean and Lindsay, is I think we need a combination of intelligent regulation, very light hand by the government, but more regulation. As the Department of Justice has recommended, we should amend the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, so that we don't have this very broad immunity for these social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They should have a good deal of latitude, but when you have people editing content and curating content, that is elemental to the content creation process. Correct. Nobody writes a book without an editor. Nobody gets an article published without it being edited. That's part of the content creation process. So they should not be allowed a blanket immunity.
Right.
And the other thing is that all of these social media platforms should be required to disclose both their standards for removing content and also
Well, that's a good
list
point.
anything,
Well-
any actions that they take. That ought to be required.
Yeah, well, Lee, talking about one of those standards, I want to show you a tweet by the Global Times, which identified itself as a China state affiliate media. It says the Taiwan leader who pledged a deeper ties with the U.S. at the dinner for visiting a senior State Department official is clearly playing with fire, and any act of her provocation, violation, it says that a war will be set off and Xi will be wiped out. Okay, that seems pretty aggressive and violent, but now I want to show you actually Twitter's policy where it says that you may not threaten violence against an individual or a group of people. We also prohibit the glorification of violence. It seems like, so this was tweeted out by the Global Times and it has not been flagged, it has not been taken down. And so I think, Kirsten, even when you have some of these policies that they put in place, they only follow them when they want to.
Right, exactly. And that's where I think the transparency, we need to work on that, right? I mean, I understand that this is a different medium and every, election cycle, every year, frankly, every day, things are changing, but we have to get a better handle on the transparency and what are the rules and who's making the decisions before we can really, obviously have an honest, transparent process. And doing this 6 weeks before an election is incredibly dangerous, especially when we're talking about the moving targets with ballots.
Yeah, Kirsten, I think your point is so well taken, because it's one thing if they did it after the last election cycle, but you're seeing this. How many campaigns are you dealing with that this is affecting?
Right. I mean, I have 3 different campaigns in multiple different states that this is going to impact. And we're now, obviously at the mercy of some of these judges in different states making different policies for different campaigns. And it just seems like this was the wrong time to do it in the middle of an election cycle like this. And so close to a very important election where, obviously things are already, tensions are high and we're highly polarized. I just don't know that this is the right move for these media companies.
Yeah, bad timing
Right move,
all
because
around.
they don't want to help the right. I mean, that's so.
Lee, Kirsten, great to see you. Thanks for being here. We'll have to have you back again soon.
Thank you.
All right, well, we continue our religious vote series today by discussing the impact of both the Muslim and evangelical vote. That's right after the break.